Hello everybody and welcome back to Lord of the Flies and the last and final chapter, chapter 12, Cry of the Hunters. Here we go. After escaping the hunters, Ralph, bruised and bloody, reflects on his injuries and worries about whether the others are still pursuing him. He eventually comes out of hiding to spy on Castle Rock. The hunters are feasting, and he decides that for the moment at least he is safe. He thinks about recent events and realizes that Jack will not leave him in peace. He cannot fully come to terms with all that has happened. He eats some fruits and, understanding that he would not be safe in the shelter, walks on through the forest. He happens upon the remains of Pig's head. In fear and frustration, he hits out at it and takes away the spear on which it is supported. In the thicket near Castle Rock, he rests but cannot sleep for fear of what might happen. He can hear the tribe dancing and see some savages keeping lookout, and regrets his isolation. Creeping towards the fort, he recognizes the guard as Sam and Eric and awaits his chance to approach and speak to them. Their manner is discouraging. They have been forced to join the tribe, and they will tell Ralph to go away for his own good. They also explain that Jack hates Ralph and plans to hunt him like a pig. The boys will sweep across the island in line to catch him, communicating with wavering cries. Ralph fears but cannot accept what might happen to him. Sam and Eric are unhelpful beyond telling him to go and giving him some meat. He says that he's going to hide in the thicket, which, being close to the fort, may be overlooked. The twins' parting remark is that Roger, now as terrifying as Jack, has sharpened a stick at both ends. Ralph fails to grasp the significance of this. A little later, while tearing hungrily at the meat they have given him, Ralph hears angry voices and squeals of pain from the twins. He crawls hastily into the thicket and falls into a fistful of sleep. He is woken in the morning by the cry of the hunters and creeps further into the dense thicket. By good fortune, he finds a small space created by the tumbling rock which killed Piggy, from which he can see the fort. Soon he can hear voices. The twins have been forced to give away his position. In the silence which follows, Ralph realizes that one of the rocks on the cliff top is being levered to crash into the thicket. It misses him despite the cheers of the savages at its fall. Again there is silence. This time another massive rock thundered through the thicket, knocking him aside, shaken but unhurt. He cowers in the undergrowth, striking out at one of the savages with his pointed stick. The unsuccessful attempt to dislodge Ralph leads the savages to try smoking him out. He heads out of the thicket towards the forest as the cries of the hunters sweep the island behind him. Ralph realizes that the signal means a hunter is unable to move forward. Because of the thicket of the undergrowth, and considers trying to break through the garden. He also contemplates climbing a tree. His third option is to hide and wait for them to pass. In panic, his mind seizes up, unable to think clearly without Piggy's help. At last he decides to find somewhere to hide. Running past the pig's remains, he is aware that the fort is now on fire. He seeks out a dense, sunless thicket to hide in, as the raging fire burns the fruit trees. As Ralph considers his fate, he spots a savage approaching with a stick sharpened at both ends. It is identical to his own, and he understands its significance at last. He remains in place. Simon's statement that he would get back home reassuring him until the tension is too great. Finally he breaks out and, dodging the spearheads for the beach, he runs almost numb and lightheaded with terror and exhaustion until he stumbles and falls on the sand. Raising himself in expectation of an onslaught of the savages, he is faced by a naval officer who has seen the smoke. He is alarmed by the boys' unkempt appearance and shocked that 2 boys have been killed on the island. As others emerge, including Jack, the officer expresses his surprise that British boys were not better able to survive. Ralph and other boys break down in relief at the end, the end of their ordeal. And that was the end of chapter 12. I'm just gonna read the comment section and that will be it. After killing Piggy, Roger has become sadistic and sharpening the stick at both ends like the one used to impale the pig's head. He is obviously preparing to kill and presumptuously behead Ralph, as Sam and Eric pronounce he is terror. Ralph has become an outcast, partly because he had some sense. He is alone now that Piggy and Simon are dead. And Sam and Eric had been forced to change sides. Ralph's isolation, fear, and pain are all described graphically. The atmosphere is tense and heightened by degrees to a climax. Do you think the ending is a disappointment letdown, or a fitting resolution of the tension that has built up? The naval officer says that British boys should have put up a better show, and he implies not end up like savages. This is romanticized view of their experience as they were characters from an adventure story like The Coral Island. The officer's enthusiasm echoes that of the boys in the first chapter, and in one sense brings the story full circle. Yet despite this, we are left with a lingering feeling of the darker realities of human nature. The picture of Jack as a little boy belies the truth of his primitive underlying aggression and savagery. Ralph's reaction at the end of the book is as much grief as relief. Ralph wept for the end of innocence, the darkness of man's heart, and the fall to the air of truth. Wise friend called me. And that was my first book reading, people. Lord of the Flies. I've seen the movie. There are 2 versions of the movie. Well, they're the same, but there's the original version that came out in the 60s, I think, or 70s. Could be wrong. And then there's one that came out in the 90s. Again, it could be wrong, but I know there are 2 movies that came out, and they're both good. I watched them both, and it's just an amazing story. I'm also glad I was able to read this book as well. It's really an amazing story. I definitely recommend it if you have the chance to watch the movie. It's a really beautiful movie. Definitely recommend it. So, hope you guys enjoy it. I don't know what I'm gonna read next. I'll have to look for it, but I'll let you guys know when I find something new. And yeah, then I'm gonna change it up a little bit. Anyway, thank you very much for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.